Hi, guys. Welcome to another episode of Canceled Culture. Um, I'm super excited for our next guest.
Bronsonn Taylor.
Bronsonn, you're back. Woohoo!
Hey,
I feel like I've interviewed you like a million times now. This has been
I
really
love it.
fun.
Uh,
Yes, me too. It's so great. I really love uh having you on, and I love your perspective. And I think, the first time, I felt like it was just, I was like, "Ah, I really I like his point of view. It's just very
yes.
interesting."
Yeah, thank you. I
um,
appreciate that.
yes, absolutely. So, the show is really just talking to um particularly just Black men in the world, whether that's in the entertainment world, um, and or just in a 9 to 5 or a corporate world or whatnot, old or young, but just life through the Black man's lens. And
Yeah,
to me, I find that there is a kind of a disconnect, even within our culture with Black women and men. And I started the series just because I wanted to understand more about just how you guys do life. You hear from society, hear from people, saying these things about, oh, the Black man, it's the hardest thing. And I hear it, but I think for me to understand more is to hear it from the mouth of a Black man and having that conversation. So thank you for coming and having this conversation with me today.
yeah, for sure. I appreciate it. It's a very important conversation to have.
Absolutely. So my question would be, what you know I guess for me, my question is, how do you navigate the tension between your personal identity and the societal expectations placed on Black men, especially in places, in spaces that were often seen through a singular lens.
Yeah, it's extremely difficult, and it's definitely something that has to be learned, something that has to be practiced, and if you're able to, something that has to be mastered. I grew up in the South, in the deep South, actually,
Mm-hmm.
where being Black, period, was almost like an indictment. You were never able to be certain things. You were never able to accomplish certain things, and it was put in you. Watch your mouth around the white folks. Watch how
Mm-hmm.
you talk around white folks. Watch how you act around white folks. It was put in you that they were automatically supposed to win, even though you're greater or better at certain things. You either had to dummy yourself down or just understand that even though you're better, smarter, stronger, whatever, they were going to get the accolades. They were going to win. So then,
Mm-hmm.
growing up, from that mindset, having to try to navigate and get equal footing, if that's even a thing, is very difficult. So when you get into some of these spaces, my personal life, I'm able to think, act, and be, whatever type of way. How we say when you're around your people,
Right.
I can say things, I could do things, I could feel things, and it's not a negative. But when you get out of that space, you have to act a different type of way. And just being candid. I don't know if you have this experience, but when I remember being a child and someone would call, and no matter what was happening, the mom could be yelling, fussing, cussing, going off or whatever. But when she answered the phone, she put on what we call the white voice.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, hello, how are you doing? It's like, that's not you. That's not how you talk. Um, but it's hard trying to navigate space and be authentic at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, I would say, as a Black person, as a Black man, I can only speak to a Black from a Black male, my Black male experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
yeah, just having to morph um, into what. Matter of fact, I was told this term, believe it or not, when I started acting, acceptable black. Uh,
Interesting.
yeah. So what happened is when I first started acting, I was just coming out of the military.
Hmm.
I just wrapped up my career. I was a bodybuilder as well.
Nice.
Um, so I was a large man. I'm 6 foot. At the time, I was like 255 or so, just solid as a rock. And I had a low haircut, um, and I had a goatee. Again, I just got out of the military, so I finally had a little facial hair, and I had this hard look about me. And all the roles I was getting was bodyguard, hitman, drug dealer, things like gangster, things of that nature. And I mean, I'm fine with it. It's work, but I didn't understand why that's all I was getting. And
Mm,
I remember, I don't want to say the name, but I remember being told that you're not what they call acceptable black. I'm like, what do you mean?
interesting.
It's like for as educated as you are and accomplished in life as you are, no one sees that when they look at you.
Wow.
So
Wow.
in order to be acceptable, you have to act a certain way. You know, use your
Mm,
education, use your etiquette. Enunciate your words. Dress professionally. And now you're not as scary looking. Now you're not as intimidating. And I heard that word over and over again that I was intimidating. I'm like, I'm probably the most kindest person you'll ever meet.
right.
Um,
Right.
but in order to be acceptable black, you have to change your look and your vernacular. I'm like, wow, okay.
Yeah,
So
because it's then like it's enough for them to like be comfortable around.
exactly, and that's basically what I was being advised. It's uncomfortable to be around you. You wearing a hoodie again. I was used to being in the gym, so I'll wear a hoodie and sweats like it's nothing. It's
Yeah,
comfortable. But
absolutely.
seeing a big black man in a hoodie, in sweatpants with Timberlands or Jordans on, you look like a gangster. You look like somebody's about to rob me. Like I make more
Mm,
money than half the people I know. I don't need your
right.
money, but you
Right.
look like it. But then it's
Right.
funny because I dress completely different when I dress in a button up, some Dockers and some loafers or something. I get so many compliments. A lot
Of
of people want
course.
to talk to me. It's like, what do you do for a living? Where do you work at? Things like that. Oh, I'm retired military. Oh, you were in the military. Thank you for your service. Oh my God. I didn't get any of that when I was in my hood. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so that put it very it spoke very plainly, to how society sees me.
Mm. Isn't that something that we're living in such a time now that that has to be considered, you
It's
know?
it is, and it's for me it's frustrating
Yeah.
because we're so far past. We should be so far past that.
Hmm.
My mom is 70. Well, she will be 70 coming up soon. And that's her era.
Hmm.
During the civil rights movement era. Uh, which you're talking about the 60s. If I believe it's 1964 when the Civil Rights Act was passed.
Hmm.
Um, so here we are, in 2024,
Right. Right.
and we're still it's 60 years later, and we're
Not
still
long.
yeah 60. We're still having this conversation 60 years later, about equality, even women's equality, if I could throw that in there.
Hmm. Hmm.
We're still having this conversation about equality, and racism and all those other isms that you want to throw in there. We should be way past this as a society. There's a lot more interracial uh, couples, and I'm not just. I mean, I can go on and on about the diversity of our culture and our society now,
Oh
uh,
my gosh. Yeah.
but yet we still have that underlying systemic problem.
Absolutely. And how do you, my question is this. Do you feel like it is, you're in the entertainment business. Um, do you feel like it is like s- s- because it's like you meet people, especially our industry, everyone's so welcoming. I have a
Mm-hmm.
lot of very diverse friends, but then you kind of do see the division
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, and you're kind of forced to just swallow it and
Yes.
keep moving and
Yeah.
don't actually say anything. And it's really unfortunate. Like it makes you kind of think that reconsider a lot of friendships, or how like is anything really based on authenticity and truth and who you are beside like, or is it, do you feel like that you get more like you looked at as like non-threatening, but also because you're in the entertainment, you have this kind of like thing that it's like, oh, well, he's okay. He's in his entertainment business.
Yeah,
Versus
I
if
get
he
what you're saying.
wasn't, right? Like it would it feel different? Do you feel
So
that?
yes and no. So let me
Okay.
answer this
Okay.
a couple ways. So I understand exactly your point. If I was not an actor, would
Right.
they see me as a threat? I would say so. I was coming home from set.
Mm,
I did a stage play where I played a gangster.
mm,
It's called A Gentleman, a Lady, and a Thug. Amazing actors in that play. Amazingly written play by Doc, Miss Dorothy. But anyway, um, I played the gangster, which was one of the three lead characters. And as I'm driving home, I got on all black. I have on gold chains. I have on, I have a gold grill in my mouth. I bought the guns, airsoft guns, but I bought the guns to set. And
mm,
as soon as we wrapped, we finished the play, and I just threw everything in the car. I'm like, I'm leaving. But I was so tired; it had to be around 2 a.m. And as I'm driving
mm.
home, I get stopped by the cops. Now, mind you, my car too is we called the Batmobile because I had a black Challenger. Uh, it was all black, matte black at that, with tinted windows. So the cop stops me and whoa, 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 hold on. Like as soon as he gets to my window, I'm like, I just had my hands up. I was like, hey man, I said, I'm just letting you know. I said, I'm an actor. I'm an actor. I just kept saying it over. I'm an actor. I'm an actor. Coming from set, just did a stage play tonight. And he's like, yeah, sure, right. Like, let me see your ID. He's like really aggressive. So as I open my wallet, he sees my military, my retired military ID card. And he's like, wait,
Mm.
he's like, are you in the military? I was like, I'm retired. I just retired. He's like, oh, okay, why don't you say that?
Oh my
So
gosh.
his posture completely softened. And, I hand him my driver's license. And he comes back. He's like, okay. He's like, so you're an actor, really? You're an actor? I'm like, yeah. He's like, really? What do you do? Have I seen you in anything? Again, just completely jovial at this point. Like, I said, you probably have. I said, you want an autograph? I got a couple of headshots in here. He's like, yeah, can I please? you I signed an autograph for the guy. He's like, well, I'm gonna let you go. Just be careful, be safe. I'm looking forward to see you on TV, big guy. I'm like, yeah, thanks. But now, as you said, had I not been an actor, uh,
Right.
or had I not had my military ID, rarely because when I opened my wallet up, it's a threefold um, wallet. So if I wouldn't open my wallet up where he saw my military ID, would that have changed anything? Uh, as
Right.
far
Right.
as far as the entertainment industry goes, at my level, because I'm not up there yet, as
Mm,
far as I would like to be, but I've done quite a few things. I've
mm.
noticed a difference in the way that you're treated and talked to.
Yeah.
Again, primarily most of my characters have been the gangster, bodyguard, hitman type roles. Uh, I was on one set where I was welcomed with open arms, and honestly, I'm just going to go ahead and plug it. On Spill Pink, Beth Wheatley, Brandon Gibson.
Mhm.
They welcomed me with open arms. They didn't see me as this thug, this you know idiot or whatever. They just saw the person. As a matter of fact, they loved that everybody calls me Buddha. So they named the character Buddha. They just thought that was the cutest thing ever. So funny. but then there was a couple other projects that I did that's exactly how they saw me, which that's how they treated me. And even though I was a principal character, I didn't get the same attention um, that the other characters did because although one other character he was a black man,
Mhm.
he was in a different capacity though,
Right, right.
and all the other characters were white. And I mean, they all hung out together, talked together, ate together. I come in the room and everybody just got really quiet. So I just sat in my car.
Mm,
Yeah, I just sat in my car.
interesting.
Yeah.
I find that so that's very interesting to me. I guess, I do find that we have similar situations but different because I'm a female. I guess
Mm.
I'm less quote unquote threatening. I'm
Yeah.
less, I mean, what can she do? But still, I feel like I do get that from a lot of women counterparts that I work with or that are in the industry. I feel like if you're doing something remotely that quote unquote surpasses someone,
Mm.
then you're put into the threat category.
Oh,
And so it's like
yes.
friends. Oh man, you're friends. We're but we're friends, right? I thought. And it's like, whoa, it makes you kind of reconsider, do you actually have friends? you
So,
know?
yeah, speaking in that capacity, I call it, I mean, it's not like I coined the phrase, but just it is the crabs in the bucket mentality. It's,
Mm,
I remember getting that passive aggressive message. It's like, okay, I see you, movie star, you're moving up. I'm like, yeah, appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, how did you get that? And like,
mm,
I auditioned for it. I do what I do. I mean, I'm blessed. Thankfully, I'm blessed in that way. Oh, okay. What does that mean? You
yeah,
know,
right.
what does oh, okay mean? And then I get the well, if I you got this look, it's easy for you to book because you're a big guy, so you're gonna always get work. Being a gangster and a thug and a bodyguard or like that. You'll always get that. So I can't get work like that because I don't look threatening like you do. I'm like,
Wow.
so now I'm not gonna lie to you. It made me it made me a little embarrassed. I'm like, is
Really?
this? Yeah, because like, is this all I am? I have
Mm,
a master's degree in forensic cyber intelligence. I have two bachelor's degree. One bachelor's degree is in intelligence studies. Another one is in geospatial intelligence. And I have,
wow.
yeah, and I mean, I have a plethora of experience in surveillance and reconnaissance and blah 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 blah. I can go on and on and on. I have my
Mhm.
friends say you have more degrees than a thermometer, but no one would ever know that. I don't talk about it. No
Mhm.
one ever. And when you look at me, primarily, no one ever looks at me and thinks that this guy is educated or is smart.
Mm.
Again, all you see is the thug. So it's funny when the people who are closest to me, this about me, but
Right.
yet it's not that I earned anything on my own merit. It was given to me, or there's it's attached with some level of envy or jealousy, you know.
Mm.
And I'm like, you should be the most proud of me. We came from the same struggle, the same situation. Um,
Mhm. Mhm.
Actor friends of mine that I started out this whole acting journey with, I was a complete novice. And some of these people had done a few things here or there. So, I'm listening, I'm hanging on their every word, like, give me advice, give me advice. And now it's the other way around. Now they're messaging me, asking me for help and asking me for advice. But I remember how they treated me, and now they're wondering how did I surpass them? And again, it's a gimme.
Mm.
I can't earn it on my own merit, or it's so cliche, but who are you sleeping with? I'm like,
Oh
oh,
my gosh.
uh,
Oh, goodness. That one there is something that I get all the time.
I'm
People like,
sure.
oh, there's no way you've got to be with someone.
Yeah,
Someone you must have a beau. You must
yeah,
be. sleeping your way to the top. And I'm just
Yeah,
like, not everybody's sleeping their way to the top or selling their soul.
yeah,
You hear that. It's like no one can actually do it
yeah,
with hard work. And there has to be a reason.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and I'm not naive enough to say that is not out there. I
Sure,
do,
absolutely.
I get it, but that's not me.
Uh-huh.
I'm putting in the work. And I would say this too, because again, I was a bodybuilder for the longest time. There's a lot of pharmaceuticals that are involved
Mm-hmm.
in bodybuilding,
Mm-hmm.
which I refuse to partake. Um, and I remember one of my shows, it was in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and this gentleman was extremely big, you know, and he was like, dude, you're ripped. I'm like, thanks, man. He's like, dude, the things I could do to you, I could mold you if you would just do blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I'm good. I appreciate it, bro. So, although we were not in the same weight class, we did compete in the overall at the end. And
Mm-hmm.
he actually won. He won first place. I won second. Um, and other gentlemen who were, fairly large as well, they were mad. A couple of them, they're throwing their medals. We get to the back room, they flung their medals against the wall. They're kicking stuff, and just mad. And like, and at that point, they started tearing me down. I
Mm.
don't have this, I don't have that. Look at this about him, look at that about him. They're online, going in on social media. And I'm like, brother, first off, none of us are getting paid to do this.
Right,
That's number
right.
one. We get a pewter trophy, some little medal, some trinket that is going to go on a shelf or in a box somewhere, and we're going to forget about this irrelevant thing in the next,
Yep.
5 years. The other thing, everybody on stage has worked their ass off to be here,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if you ever see any of my competition videos, whether I won first place or fifth place, I am high-fiving everybody, shaking hands, congratulating. It's like, I'm just proud to be here, that, we made it through this long journey together. Um, but again, it's no one can, no, you can't look this way unless you had to do something. It's like, no, it's a lot of hard work and, not being able to eat, and training for 6 hours, a day, 6 days a week and blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And the same with, the entertainment industry, whatever, avenue you go in the entertainment industry, is like, no, you can achieve it. This person came in the door and decided to go this route. Okay, cool. And they popped immediately. Yeah,
Right,
I choose not to go that route.
right.
So it's going to be a longer climb up this hill for me. And I
Mm-hmm.
understand that. And I'm perfectly fine with it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And absolutely. It's very interesting. I mean, gosh, I mean, there's so many questions I can ask. There's something I always I wonder, like, and what's been, you know, the the do you feel that the balance, the need for self-preservation and success, the responsibility of also uplifting your community as a Black man, do you feel
Yes,
that? Yeah.
I do. So again, I'll be very candid with you. I was asked by a prominent black male actor. I'll say that.
Mm-hmm.
We were doing a chemistry read, and he asked me about would I play a gay role
Mm-hmm.
for the film. I said no, and he's like, why not? All the greats, have done it. I was like, I understand that. I said,
Mm-hmm.
but you realize we're in Atlanta. There are
Right.
plenty of amazing black male gay actors who
Mm-hmm.
would crush this role. I know them personally.
Right.
I've worked with them personally. They're phenomenal. You don't need me to play a gay man when you have an actual gay man who can crush this role. You know, there'd be things I probably wouldn't be comfortable doing. I don't know. I've never been in that capacity. I don't know if I would be comfortable doing, you know,
Mm-hmm.
then it wouldn't look authentic versus just having someone who's actually, authentically that person. Um, He said, but you wouldn't have a problem playing a paraplegic or quadriplegic, would you? I'm like, no, I wouldn't, for a number of reasons. One, if you can find a paraplegic or a quadriplegic person who fits all your descriptions and can play that role, by all means, you should cast them. But it's
Mm-hmm.
a lot easier to put a green sleeve on my leg or my arm, you know,
Mm.
and edit that out, for me to portray said role. Again, I also there's a narrative in the Black community, especially for Black men, that you have to play a gay role. You have to,
Mm.
in order to be. And I'm like, I was given that challenge. Like, think about all the prominent Black male actors. Name one that hasn't played that role. If you think about it. And I'm like, wow. So I'm running through it, and it's like, wow, it's
Right.
hard. It's hard to think of it. And for the community, it's like, why is it that in order to be a successful Black man, you have to put on a dress? And I remember Eddie
I
Griffin said that.
Yep. Yep.
And Cat Williams, said, the similar thing when he came on, and a few other folks. It's like,
Dave
I could
Chappelle.
be, yeah, I could be a lot further in my career if I wore the dress. But I decided, that no, this is where we stop. We're going to stop that narrative that you have to do this in order to be successful in this business as a Black man.
Yeah, it seems like it's like almost like ritualistic sometimes, like
Yeah,
for lack of a better term. And again, if that's, I feel like, again, I think a lot of times, I think it was what was Halle Berry was on an interview and she was talking about, she was playing a role for like a crackhead or something like that. And she
yeah,
said
yeah,
she actually went to the crack house and she said she really, went there. And she's like, I don't, suggest people doing that
yeah,
because, you find that actors, they say in acting school and acting teachers say, well, it's just when you go there and it's not really you. But then some people can't get out of those roles, get out of those characters. They kind of lose themselves in situations and
yeah,
when they go really deep. I mean, like Heath Ledger, he
yeah,
really went deep into that role and it was
yeah,
hard for him to find his way back.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, they call it the Meisner style. I remember when I very first started acting, I thought that's what I had to do was to become that person. So, whatever role it was that I got from that, the moment I booked the role, I told, my family, for this is my name. I'm not going to answer unless you call me this name.
mhm.
Um, I dressed as the character in my real life. I went to the gym and to the store as my character in real life.
Mm, mhm,
And so when I got on set, that there was no daylight between that character and me. Uh,
mhm,
and one set I went on, again, I'm playing a gangster, like an extreme gangster, like murderous killer type. Um, so I showed up to set. I had on, all black, black leather jacket, and again, same thing with the jewelry and the grill, whatever. But I had my gun, which is a mini Mac 10, and it's real. I had it in my hand, and when I tapped on the door, they didn't open the door. I figured they were filming, so I just stood there. And the PA, she comes to the window by the door, and she sees me and just screams. Um, so she runs, and grabs the first AD, and the first AD is just standing, wouldn't open the door. Like, who are you? What are you here for? And I told him, my name and the role, but the way I said it, I said it in character. And yeah, they were like, they didn't want to open the door to the director who actually cast me. He came and he was like, oh, that's Bronsonn. So, and I thought that was the most amazing thing ever. So I did it again when I got on this TV series I did called Broken Seeds. I was cast by William Usual. Love Will. Thank you, Will. For the role again, the gangster in the movie, the drug lord in the movie. I did a similar thing when I got on set. I just stayed in character the entire time. The thing is,
Mm,
though, once I rapped, I couldn't shake that character.
Right, right, right,
So
right.
yeah, so
Wow.
I
Wow.
actually had, took on the persona of this person who definitely is not me. And
Mm,
it took me a little while to shake it. And thankfully, I have a couple of folks that I listen to, and finally it was like, what are you doing? you know?
mm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm. Wow. Wow. That's amazing. That's incredible. In your opinion, what has been the most significant, change in the way Black men are perceived by society over the past decade, and what still needs to change?
Over the past decade. Oh, wow. Positively, I would say that we're seen as more than just thugs.
That's
Uh,
good. That's a great start.
just yeah, just as a in general, let me say
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
and it could be from where I sit as well, the
Hmm.
environment that I'm in. But
Hmm.
yeah, I remember a time where no matter what level where you were on the scale, you could have been the most educated down to the to the lowest. We were all seen exactly the same. As I was saying previously, the acceptable black, that was not a term. Uh,
Mm.
However, though, I will asterisk that by saying that we have a lot of work left to do because although society may not see me that way because of where I live and the type of car I drive, the music I listen to, and now my appearance, um, I still worry about my son and how
Mm.
society sees him.
Hmm.
I still worry about my nephew and how society sees him
Mm.
because, as you said, we still have a long way to go. It's we could talk about the Ahmaud Arbery, situation. It's just young black man
Yeah.
is jogging, and he's looking around at an empty house. Just and they said he there was a lot of stealing that was going on in the neighborhood. So that doesn't equate to him being chased down and shot. We
Hmm.
can talk about the Trayvon Martin murder. A young black man walking through his neighborhood, by the way.
Right. Right.
But he had on, as I said earlier, the hoodie. Uh,
Hmm.
and his headphones with an iced tea and some Skittles in his pocket, and that was cause for him to be murdered. We
Mm.
could talk about Breonna Taylor.
Yeah.
Um, and Philando Castile and so many others. It's like what is such a threat? Why are we being so villainized and over policed and over prosecuted as well? We look at the sentencing guidelines, and then you look at what the sentences actually are for the same crime depending on your ethnicity.
Mm.
Uh, and it hasn't mattered. Uh, you know, um,
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
scale you're on. So, and I would like to add George Floyd.
Right. Right.
What was so egregious about George Floyd? Whether you believe that he had a counterfeit bill or not, what was so egregious in the way he was treated? Vice, and his name escapes me. The young man who gunned down 9 parishioners at church as they prayed. Uh,
Mm.
you know, but he was led out and they bought him Burger King.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. You know, that is so, it's countless of stories and it's still happening today. I
Yeah.
just saw something recently that happened in North Carolina, just a routine traffic stop with a mom and daughter,
Oh yeah.
Black's mom and daughter in the car. And I'm just thinking, what, like you said, what is the threat, right? And again, you would think that people have gone past like pigmentation. That's it.
Yeah.
Pigmentation. It's not like we're an alien, but
Yeah.
it does feel like you do feel like that super isolated because it's like you can go some places still to say that exist in the world that say, don't let the sun hit you going down.
Yeah.
This is not a town for you. Some of the towns in the South, like
Yeah.
I would never go to.
Yeah.
And, even friends of mine, that their parents are like, oh yeah, we love everybody, but we wouldn't want anybody to date
Oh yeah,
and I'm just like, I mean, just so freely open and then the way they explain it is just,
yeah.
I mean, it's bizarre. It's mind-boggling, and it makes you think that is that everyone's kind of rhetoric in
So
the back of their head?
I'm going to
Because
give
it's
you.
kind of scary.
I just did this recently. It's Thanksgiving, and had a bunch of family and friends over, and we were always a bunch of mixed races and ethnicities here. And
Mhm.
I don't know how we got on the subject, but when I was in the military, one of my many jobs was I was the equal opportunity advisor for the command. So we're talking about 900,000 soldiers, all in all, that I would have to give training to.
Mhm.
So one of the things I used to do that I got in trouble for initially, but they loved it afterwards, is I would divide the auditorium into fours. No matter, it didn't matter by, you know, race or whatever. I just divided where you were sitting at from this, area to this area. I say this is all white, and
Mhm.
this section is all black. This section is Hispanic. This section is Asian. And I challenged them to come up with four stereotypes for each ethnic group that they were in.
Mhm.
And it was funny because, they said black people, it's like, oh, they eat watermelon chicken, they're gangsters, they wear a lot of jewelry, they have cars with rims. And for Mexicans, they have a lot of babies. Uh, they take all the jobs. They listen to circus music, and they're lazy. And for
Mhm.
Asians, it was they have glasses, thick glasses, they've got buck teeth, they're good at math, and they can't drive. And for white, it was always good credit. They were very stiff acting. What is it? Karen, they were back before the term Karen, but like, I want to see your manager, things of that nature. And everybody had a
Mhm.
good laugh, cool, cool, cool. I was like, this is where I teach everybody that there's racism in all of us.
Mm.
Because I
Yeah.
just said, give me four stereotypes. You didn't have to say anything negative. Why do we
Mhm.
go negative automatically? You
Right.
know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a very good point.
because this is exactly how society, in by and large,
Mhm.
sees us, and even more so, how we see ourselves,
Right.
how we see
Yeah.
ourselves. So I would say that yes, every person that you come in contact with, whether they do it willingly or unwillingly, consciously or subconsciously, there is a level of racism in them.
Mm.
It's
Wow.
inherent.
Yeah. And it's not that it's be, I hear that too a lot of times. I've even heard people tell me, um, and this has come from African Americans. They say, this is a friend of mine, and I remember we were talking, and he was like, Black people can't be racist. I'm like, huh?
Yeah, we
What
can.
in the world? What is
Yeah,
that? I
yeah.
was like, just saying that alone is insane to me. That's a problem.
That's a line
Um,
in a movie I did, The Uncivil
oh
War. I
wow.
said it to my castmate, the lead actor, David Saracusa, plays Tom in the movie. Yeah, I he said something about George Floyd, and I told him, "No, I'm not going to get into this racist rhetoric, so forth and so on." But then at the end of that scene, I said something to him about white people can't dance,
Mm.
and he's like, "Well, that's racist." I'm like, "No, black people can't be racist." And it drew a huge laugh in the theater, but again, it goes to that point of how are we seen and how do we see, each other.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Do you feel like the entertainment world, or is there a way, like, because you ever hear those conversations, and I've had so many conversations with people that are like, yeah, be the change you want to see.
Mm-hmm.
And you have your actors and filmmakers out there like Denzel, your Will Smith, your Chris Tucker, Spike Lee. I mean, all these amazing Black men,
Mm-hmm.
powerful Black men, I'd add.
Mm-hmm.
Why haven't they actually joined forces to come together? Like, do you ever think about those moments of
Yes,
like, what is that?
because you can't, and
Because you can't.
you
I
can't.
figured that
Yeah,
that was
you
true.
cannot. And
Yeah.
it's a known unknown. It's the things that you don't talk about. I
Yes.
watched an interview with Don Cheadle on the Angela Yee show not too long ago, and he was saying that how hard it is to get a movie greenlit,
Wow.
in Hollywood, because you have all these streaming platforms now.
Mhm.
Netflix being the king of them all, and unless you can get a studio to fund your project, or
Mhm.
unless you can self-fund it, which most of us don't have that type of liquid liquid money, liquid cash.
Mhm.
uh, you're doing something independent and low budget, medium budget, and then okay, you got this amazing project in the can. Now you got to get distribution and marketing,
Right.
and you got to get eyes on it, and you got to get people to comment about it as well, get it to go viral. They're talking about it. That's hard. That's a heavy lift, especially when
Mhm.
those who control those levers of power don't
Right.
want to play ball.
No.
They'll block it. They'll block you. He's like, no, this will never see the light of day, because although you got 16 prominent black male actors who are multi 100 millionaires, each one of them, and been in the biggest of big budget films, of all time. Cool. Can they all come together, put together a project, get it marketed and distributed, and put on a platform? Um, is that possible? Because none of us own anything.
Right.
We don't own it.
That's the reality. And that's scary. That's kind of not it's like why not? But again, it makes sense if like, you think about like the black dollar, and where that's going and all of this stuff. And it's all
Yeah.
these things that we want to do and we want to create together and how we can build a community like it was Black Wall Street at one time. But again, that was destroyed.
Yeah.
I don't I don't know if it's possible because of it's like, yes, racism was abolished and no one's getting, physically hung, you
Mm.
know, but you're getting hung in your pockets
So one thing
financially.
I used to teach my soldiers, even though mainly I would I talk to all of them, but just being candid at this point, I would talk to my black soldiers, my black female soldiers, and well, my
Mhm.
female soldiers, and my black soldiers, black male soldiers. I said, it's no longer racism, it's placism.
Right. Yeah.
I can't call you the N word to your face. I
Hmm.
can't call you colored, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, I can't call you anything derogatory whatsoever, because we live in cancel culture, especially now.
Hmm.
But what I can do is I can put you in your place, and I'm positive that you've experienced this.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
a quick example would be, I was up for promotion. Me and this white gentleman. We were both the same rank. We were both sergeant E5s. We
Hmm.
were both up for promotion. He didn't want to get promoted. He I'm done. I'm good. Like, I don't want to be responsible for anything else. I was an eager beaver. I want to get promoted.
Right.
If you look at all the evaluations, I was top marks above him. Physical fitness standard way above him. Leadership ability, so forth and so on. Right, above him. But I was told that until he is ready for promotion, that I would not be able to go to the promotion board. What?
Mm. Wow.
What? So
Wowza.
they forced him to go, just because I was making such a stink about it. They forced him to go. We both go. We both got selected for promotion. But after everything was said and done, I was pulled to the side by my leadership, and I was shown the breakdown.
Hmm.
Um, at the time, we were on a 150-point scale system. I got 149 points. This gentleman had got 140 points,
Hmm.
but yet he was selected above me.
Wowza.
And that's when I realized, again, it's not about race, it's about place, it's about keeping your place.
Yeah. And that's even worse. I think it's to me, I feel like the psychological game is crazy.
Hmm.
because it's like mental captivity is, I feel like, is more potent than actually being captive. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Knowing that it's like, it's like, well, I already know that this is going to happen if I, that you ever hear those stories of like there's people that are be like, you can be rich, be millionaire, but when you hit the billionaire status, like everything comes out. Everybody wants to have all these, everything. Like the black image of man is just, like your Bill Cosby's. And don't get me
yeah,
wrong, I don't know to what extent, right?
yeah,
But that's a lot. Like it's like Dave Chappelle said, it's a lot. That was a lot of women. He's like, come on, that's a lot of people. Like if
yeah,
he's like, and or the image of the positive black man is
yeah,
that was stripped away from
yeah.
our homes. Really, it's like overnight. Like when that happened, I was like, oh my god,
And I pushed
that's
back on that so
scary.
much. I pushed back on it because, yeah, you have the Bill Cosby's, the R. Kelly's, the P. Diddy's, although,
Mm-hmm.
he hasn't been to court yet or found guilty of anything. It's a lot of allegations.
Mm-hmm.
But you have those type of situations, right? We could talk.
Right.
I'm sure, you see social media is flooding. And then here recently, something with Jay-Z, or
Oh my
whatever.
god, yeah.
Social media is flooding. The radio is flooded with it,
Mm-hmm.
inundated, so to speak, right? Whatever happened to Jeffrey Epstein? Where was the outrage with that?
Yeah.
Whatever happened
Yeah.
to David Letterman? Whatever happened
Right.
to Woody Allen, uh, Kevin Spacey, Harvey Weinstein, Matt
Right.
Lauer from the Today Show, right? We
Right.
can go on
Right.
and on. Like, there's nothing said. There's nothing said, not even a whisper. And these gentlemen did, if not more egregious acts, if not more.
Mm-hmm.
And those are just the ones that we know of. Remember, they control the levers of power.
Right.
So you can't tell me that with all the access and power that they have, that there are not way more instances of situations like this, but you don't hear about it, because I'm just going to say it plainly. Their society protects them and their image. Our
That's true.
society, the black society, we cannot wait. We cannot wait for somebody to fall. We cannot wait for you to make a mistake. And
But
we're gonna call out everything. We're gonna make memes about it. There's spoofs, there's videos of
oh my
spoofs
gosh.
on top of spoofs. And then we invite other cultures to do it
To
with us.
to
You
partake
know?
and then and get mad at them for doing it, but then we're doing it ourselves.
You know what I mean? So I'm like,
Yeah.
why is it that, you had made a mention about the black dollar? It's like, why is it that the black dollar doesn't go as far as any other dollar? Why
Right.
don't we keep the black dollar in our community? As you said, Black Wall Street, we kept the black dollar in the black community.
Right.
Um, First thing we do when we get money, we've seen it. It's not a secret. We get money. I got Versace outfits. I got a Louis bag.
Mm-hmm.
I got a Gucci belt that costs $5,000. I got,
Mm-hmm.
Evisus and all whatever the high fashion is. We can't
Mm-hmm.
wait to go spend it. With these um, luxury name brand items. Um,
Yeah.
but and
Well,
I can
I, th- I
I go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think that happens because I feel like a lot of times we're trying to be looked at upon as accepted.
Yep, exactly. I agree. My son is 15 now. I was showing him the difference. I was like, you see your favorite rapper, which I said, pick one, doesn't matter, don't even say his name, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the minute they sign a record deal or get money, they have on 10 pounds of jewelry, right?
Right.
And they're driving a Lambo, right? And
Mm-hmm.
they find them some exotic woman from some other country that they want to be
Very,
seen with, right?
very
And they
true.
buy this extremely huge house in a gated community, and they got tons and tons of money, whether it's real or fake. But you always see them with a duffel bag or hands full of cash, and putting it to their ear and sleeping on all that cliche stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he said,
Mm-hmm.
"Yeah." I said, "They don't make any money. Just so you know, they're a rapper. They don't make much money." But now you
Mm-hmm.
see, and again, I'm not even saying as a racial thing. You see
Right.
someone who does rock music, pop music, or
Hmm.
anything of that nature. They dress down. Country singers, they dress down. They got on a plaid shirt from Target, probably. You know, some jeans
Hmm.
with a chain, looped around something. Uh, maybe a topaz ring or something of that nature. Driving a Ford truck or
Yep.
but you don't see they're not flashy, and they
Right.
make millions more than your favorite rapper. Millions,
Hmm.
minus let's say Jay-Z or something but they make millions. But they're not flashy about it at all.
Right. Right.
They don't talk about buying Gucci, Louis, and all this other stuff like Fendi and all this stuff like that. They don't talk about it at all. They don't even wear this stuff at all. For what? What's the point?
Right.
So why are we trying so hard to be accepted by a society or culture that doesn't accept us? They have said it in their marketing that they make their price
Yes.
point so high to keep us from being able to buy it, to being able to
Wow.
afford it. But yet,
Yes.
when we get the enough money to buy it, that's the first thing we go do. Why?
Instead of investing into ourselves or our
Instead of
people
investing
or
into
our
ourselves.
community.
Fubu, I started off doing a TV series for Fubu. Fubu has their own
Mm.
network now.
Nice.
Yeah, extremely amazing shows on the network. Um, and I see people, the black community, they're joking and making fun of Fubu, and Fubu apparel and the time. I'm like, why? Why?
Mm.
Because it's not Louis, it's not Fendi, it's not Gucci or whatever the case is, but it's literally called for us by us.
Hmm.
you know, like
Yeah.
then why are we not supporting that? Why are we running out to go spend our money in another community? I don't
Well,
understand.
I think again, it goes back to, maybe old habits. But again, at some point, you hear people say, and I've had people say this to me, and look, they say, even at this very conversation, people would say, well, that's called complaining. I'm like, no, it's
No,
not that we're complaining. We have to talk about these issues
yeah,
because we have to figure out a way to stop this from happening, to
yeah,
provoke other people like us to not continue the habits that
yeah,
we've been taught for so many years. At some point we have to get to a point where we're like, you know what, because that goes for anybody. Like you hear this thing of a lot of people say, well, I'm learning, you fall, you get back up. I'm like, but when do we actually learn?
yeah.
And
That's a
like,
fact.
you know what I mean? And actually taking those, learn from that, and not continue the hamster wheel, go
Yeah,
around so I don't know what it is, but I think a part of us just, we just don't. And this is, I don't think that many of us, especially in our culture, I don't think many of us actually think we value ourselves and
fact,
our people. That's
fact.
just bottom line.
I would say too is what role models do we have? So growing up,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
grew up in the inner city hood. Um,
Mhm.
what role models do we have? I was surrounded by gangsters and drug dealers and crackheads.
Yeah.
A lot of my family fell into every those categories. So who is your role model? So if you grow up and you see, I'm telling you my own experience. I'm seeing drug dealers with, they would have pockets full of cash, wads of cash. Bankroll, what they called it back in the day.
Mm.
Pockets full of cash, and I mean, this is hundreds upon hundreds. That was amazing. And they come through the hood and they have a brand new Impala with rims on it,
Hmm.
and a loud music. Well, okay, cool. So and then that brings all the girls are around them. Oh, they're popping. Then that's what I want
Hmm.
to be like. That's what it's glorified. No
Mm.
one ever glorified investing. No one ever glorified going to college. No one ever glorified, owning my own business or, getting a lucrative corporate job.
Right.
They glorified, being good at playing football or basketball. That boy good. He going to the NFL,
Right.
but I was never good enough for either of those. So what am I to do? Um, Thankfully, I was smart enough to join the military as a way out, and I was blessed enough to be strong enough to make it through and survive it. On top of that, and I at that point is where my role models changed, and I had several great role models along the way who grew me up because I was not. I was every bit of the hood kid when I joined the military.
Hmm.
But it did provide me that structure, and like I said, those role models. And how you said earlier, be the change you want to see. So that's what I became. Is I became the role model. I became
Right.
that change because I want the youth to see. So I go to. Well, I used to do it a lot more. I would do speaking engagements primarily at inner city schools.
Mm-hmm.
So these young black people would see someone that came from their environment. I talk just like you. And it was funny because I did, they see me come in and I have on, a button up or I'm dressed, like a school teacher. Like, oh, here you go again. And then I just I talk and I talk in their language and I'm able to relate to them. It's like, whoa. And then, I pull out money from around the world. Yeah, I'm traveled. I got out
Hmm.
of the box. You could do it too.
Yeah.
Just because this is all you see, trust me, I was like that too. But how many times has that happened? That never happened for me. So now
Mm.
that hopefully, I prayfully that they've seen it now. It's like it can happen.
Right. It can.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You're right. My last question
Hmm.
to you would be that how do you envision the future of Black men in the country, and what is your hope for the next generation of Black men, and how do you see them reshaping the culture both within and the outside of the Black community?
Oh, so I will answer again, like I did earlier, positively. I see a
Yeah,
lot of us are waking up.
that's great.
Um, I grew up in an era where the music we listened to was not necessarily gangster rap. It was
Mm,
there, it was there, but we embraced the black culture. Literally, groups named Sounds of Blackness.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Where Black Men United was. That's the black man, the black anthem.
Right.
Uh, um, you know, just I miss that that feeling of culture, that feeling of society, that feeling of family, that feeling of
Mm,
unity. Uh, I think everything is cyclical. So
okay.
we got a
Yeah.
taste of what it felt like to have money because prior to the I'm gonna say the mid '90s, let's say early 2000s rather. We were as a society extremely still impoverished and struggling. You know,
Yeah.
drugs were rampant in most of our neighborhoods, if not all. But we got into the digital and the information age, in the 2000s,
Yeah.
and it opened us up to more education, more opportunities.
Mm,
Yeah, I'm not just pigeonholed into what you're telling me.
right.
And then, 8 years later, we have our first black president.
Yeah.
And at that point, now it's like, okay, we really can do this. Like there is no stopping us now. And it was a boom in in inspiration, I would say, and our wokeness, the word.
Mm,
Um, so I love that, and if we can continue to grow and capitalize on that as a society, I think the future would put us on an equal playing field, if not allowing us to surpass us, the other cultures. We'll understand that we need to invest in our own community, in our own culture. The negative side of that, though, I see is we're so easily influenced. Um, it's
it's true.
it is what it is. We're so easily influenced. You get offered a job to work at one of these, to be the advisor, the urban advisor to one of these high-end fashion markets, which, okay, well, I'm in, forget about everybody else,
Right.
and they're using you to promote their product to your culture because they don't know how to do it.
Right.
And you really think they accept you? No, they don't. You're being used. And
Wow.
that
Wowzer.
goes for the entertainment, the music industry, and film industry as well.
Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah.
that's a fear of mine.
Mm. That's deep. I mean, it's so deep. It's 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 like one of those things where I feel like the only way for it to change
Mhm.
personally, and I don't know, maybe this is just me, but I really feel like the only way would, because it's going to take that waking up and getting out of the matrix, almost like
Mhm.
waking up to your true identity. And I think somehow, I wish there was a button that we can press where we can wake up, as a whole,
Yeah.
so, how far could we be,
Yeah.
but, maybe that's just, and that's another, it's a perfect world that we
One
live
of
in.
the
So,
one of the gentlemen I used to listen to, God rest his soul, was Joe Madison, Black Eagle. I used to listen to him. One of the things he used
mm-hmm.
to say every day, and when he listened to, caller, whoever called, he's like, what are you going to do about it?
Right.
That was his, what are you going to do? I get you. I hear you all that. What are you going to do? We
Mm-hmm.
have to do something. We can't just,
Something.
wait and, hope somebody else does it. What are you going to do about it? And, your show, your platform, you're promoting, every idea, not just Black. I watch your podcast regularly, actually.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
yeah. So if you guys are not tuned in, you should go check out my girl.
That's right. Listen to Bronson. He's the man. He knows.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, but
I,
you
I
have
appreciate that.
you embrace, multiple ideas, multicultural ideas, which is what we need as a society. It shouldn't be just one-sided,
Right.
one thought, one idea. So although this is the topic that we're talking about today because it is important, there are dozens of other topics, that need to be
That
addressed
are
that
just important. Exactly.
that feeds into this topic.
Yes. 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 Because it's so funny you say this, and honestly, it's this is, if we can't have uncomfortable conversations,
Mhm.
whether it's Black or someone from immigrants from another country or anything, if we can't have conversation,
Mhm.
then we're not that's just not the reality of life.
That's
We
a
have
fact.
to have the conversations in order for there to be some type of change
That's a fact.
collectively, because we can't do it on our own.
Yep.
We need each other, you
Yep.
know
That's a fact.
I don't know. But I just hope all I know I can do is just have these conversations, and hopefully someone else will listen to this and be inspired to say, you know what, maybe that'll make them want to, maybe they have the capacity to, be the next, I don't know, world
Change it.
leader that's going to change it. Yeah, or just because this conversation they heard, they're like, oh man,
I
but
love that. I love it.
yeah.
One of my friends, we were overseas, and I was with my group. I was the only Black man in the group,
Mhm.
and we were going into a restaurant. And the restaurant owner, the shop, the lady, she pulls me out of the group, and she's just giggling, she's laughing, and I'm like, okay. And she said everybody else down at the table, and she put me in the table on a table by myself next to the kitchen. And I didn't get it at first, like what's going on? And my translator said, yeah, they're kind of still old fashioned here. I was in Vietnam. I was on a mission in Vietnam.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. And then, short time afterwards, there was she brings out the girl in the back. She was washing dishes. She's Black, had
Hmm.
Afro puffs
Wow.
and everything. You could tell she was Asian, but she looked like a Black woman to me with Afro puffs.
Right.
And she couldn't believe it. She looked at me. I'm looking at her like, I was, girl, what you doing here? And,
Right.
but she's touching my skin, touching my face, and she just couldn't believe that, I'm a black man, with a group of white guys, but she was what they
Mm-hmm.
call a war baby, Vietnam era baby that was left behind. So obviously her father was black,
Mm-hmm.
and she was an orphan. So,
Oh,
her lot in life is a dishwasher in this little, small, restaurant. Uh, yeah, and
well,
she never experienced seeing an American black man before. So, it was mind blowing. But
very.
some countries around the world, we're looked at, you know, worse than we are here in America.
That's so true. That's that's so true. That's real.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess that's all we can do is like you said, it's I think for me, I'm just grateful that there are people like you that exist in the world, like that
Thank
that
you.
that want to change the narrative and that do it,
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. So it does give me hope that, you know, that there are people like you that exist and doing what they can do.
Thank you.
Um, so thank you for your time. Thank you for your knowledge and just your story. And yeah, thank you for being you. I appreciate that.
I appreciate you for inviting me on again.
Absolutely.
This is amazing, first one-on-one, my first one-on-one interview with you. So I truly appreciate you, giving me your platform to speak on. And anytime you want to talk, I'm an open book. And if there's anything you need from me, please reach out.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And thank you all for listening. And always remember to live, love, laugh. We see you guys next time. Bye bye.